The Shire Valley Transformation Program has been on the drawing board for the past 80 years. Large-scale irrigation farming was one of the three major pillars of the Integrated Development Plan of the colonial government called the Shire Valley Project in the 1940s. The development plan was formulated based on recommendations from a 1941 publication by engineer Francis Edgar Kenthak. The plan was centered around regulating the level of Lake Malawi through construction of a barrage at Liwonde, generating hydroelectric power on the Shire Valley and large-scale irrigation in the Shire Valley. Dr. Stanley Chakumbila Kaila is the acting project coordinator for the Shire Valley Transformation Program, and he explains more.
The idea was that maybe it is important to control the flow of the Shire River from Lake Malawi. There was a paper that was written by Edgar Kantberg, who was an engineer from the imperial government. And this paper actually, which was written in 1941, most people believe that was the beginning point of thinking about the Shire Valley Transformation Program. That paper proposed that if we were to do a good job with the development of the Shire Valley, what was needed was, one, to come up with an integrated hydrological development program. By integration, what they meant was that there should be a structure which controls the flow of water from Lake Malawi downwards, and at the same time, we could also utilize the Shire River for generation of electricity. And indeed, down the Shire River in Chikwawa and in Sanje, you would end up with a situation where the flow of the Shire has been controlled and you can use the water and harness it properly for irrigation project. At that time, these were the three parts of what was known as Lower Shire Project. And the control of the flow of the river was supposed to be at Liwonde. I'm glad to say that all these now, including the Shire Valley Transformation Program, are under implementation.
The project has a very, very long history. It was thought during the colonial days. Apparently, I think there was a slight slack in terms of implementation. Around 2006-07, a study was commissioned and the designs were done. But at the time we almost started implementing the project, it was noted that there were some details that were lacking. And one of the major issues was water availability. Was the Shire, if we implemented the project, going to sustain hydropower and irrigation? Yeah. So they were supposed to have had studies that would ascertain that indeed there would be no issues pertaining to water availability.
Farmers in the Shire Valley face challenges each year, including drought, floods, and dry spells. Irrigation is therefore an important element to the transformation of agriculture in the area. Farmers have been waiting for the construction of the irrigation scheme for many years. With the passage of time, the story of the construction of the scheme became a folktale to so many in the area. Many had lost hope that the irrigation scheme will become a reality. Loveness Machaya is a farmer from T.A. Ndakwera in Chikwawa.
Ndiri nsikana tangu bala mwananga mbodzi komanda ngachimbira bi ngende dzamva kuti ngalande idzabwera mudzathandizika nayo ndiye mangu yang'anira nthawi yonse mpaka na nthawi
ngalande itulidamba kuimva kale makolo athu amatiuza kuti cholinga ati cha sikimoyi angalengetse kutsogoloko boma adzayiganizira kanthu kena. Ife ndiye pasadapitilirebe zaka zingapo zimene zadutsa pakati ndi pamene timayamba kumva kuti kunoko kudzabwera chingalande.
Since independence, the government of Malawi has been exploring the viability of constructing a large gravity-fed irrigation scheme in the Shire Valley districts of Chikwawa and Nsanje.
Only when Nyasaland got independence and then we became Malawi, and then we had an African leader at that point in the name of Dr. Kamuzubanda, then he obviously was aware of all these development concepts, and he decided, let's start implementing. A lot of studies, of course, had been done, but none of them was conclusive. And it was only until recently when in 2008, the government, with support from our development partners, African Water Facility, they were able to do another study which was done by CODA. I think CODA then concluded that no, as a matter of fact, it is possible to have an irrigation project in the Lower Shire, Chikwawa and Nsanje. And they even estimated that close to 43,000 hectares could be irrigated. But they also recommended that further studies need to be done. So African Development Bank provided financing in 2012 to government of Malawi to do a pre-feasibility study. And when they completed it, they confirmed what CODA had said, that indeed there is potential, very good potential, for Chikwawa and Nsanje to be transformed through a gravity-fed irrigation project.
After many years of studies, the Shire Valley Transformation Program was finally launched in March 2020, and construction started in April the same year. The World Bank is one of the financiers of the Shire Valley Transformation Program.
The Shire Valley has been discussed many times before. In fact, if you look at history, the first discussions were in the 1940s. It never happened. When I was here in the 80s, there was another study being completed, again to develop the valley. But then large-scale irrigation went out of favor in the world, and again it didn't happen. So I'm very pleased that the World Bank picked this up again at the request of government in about 7-8 years ago. And we're starting to see the results. I remember many times we went to Paramount Chief Lundu, and he almost kicked us out of his house because he said, you people, you just come and you waste my time. I will never see anything happening in the Shire Valley. So now, of course, the chief is happy and we're all happy because we're seeing the progress. The intake is under construction, the main canal. The second part of the main canal, another 46 kilometers, is about to start. So we're really starting to see the change in the valley. But this is just the starting point. Transformation is not happening by just having an irrigation scheme. The water has to be utilized, the water has to be managed well, and the water has to be used for crop production. So there's still a long way to go, but the beginning is very encouraging. We are very pleased to see this development. It's more or less on schedule, as planned. So really a good start, and the people now are very happy, and all the people you speak to in the valley, from the head administration, the district administrator, all the way down to maybe the poorest person in the valley, they see this change now, and they really want to participate in this.
The Shire Valley Transformation Program will bring a major transformation to the agriculture sector in the Shire Valley and the country as a whole.
This Shire Valley Transformation Program is mainly, in terms of its transformation and change that we are expecting, there are three components that are supposed to change that. There is the construction of the canals and secondary canals, night storage reservoirs and all that, which is what we call irrigation water supply or irrigation water service. That's a big component. But after that, clearly, you also have to deal with the farmer. Because of new laws that are in place, especially the Customer Land Act, it gave us an opportunity to provide security of tenure to the farmers that are going to participate in this development program to register. So that is also another component. And the third component is the one that we say, so you have the water, security of tenure has been achieved, the farmers are organized. Now, what next? They have to produce crops which have markets, and they have to produce these commercially, efficiently, and increase productivity. And they have to choose crops which the market is looking for, so that they are able to sell these.
There is now renewed hope for farmers in the Shire Valley who have for the past 80 years been looking forward to practicing commercial agriculture on a large scale.
Madziwa amene akunenawo ndiye adzatithandize kukang'amba inonga sitimbasowa madzi kuti zimene tadzalazo zikhale kanthu. Ndiye apo atizingopatutsa basi yonso ndiye tikuona ngati kuti tidzathandizika ndithu.
This project is a transformative project. That's why it's called Shire Valley Transformation Program. We want the farmer not only to attain food security, but also economic gain and the creation of employment.
Traditional leaders are also hopeful that the lives of their people will improve for the better as they will be financially empowered through irrigation farming.
Chitukuko ichi sichichitika kuno ku Shire Valley kokha, chili madera ambiri ku Karonga, chiliko ku Phalombe, chili madera ambiri. Kotero kuti madera mwanza athu mmene muli madzi zikupita komweko achoveka, athandizika, komanso mausiwa ena ndi ena, mavuto ena ndi ena achepa. Tithokoze kwambiri pamene papo boma kuti inaganiza kuti chinthuchi chiyambikedi ndipo chayambika chichitheka.